say it again, because I've always tried to do all of these shows in an honest way. You listen to what he just said. Their approach is pragmatic, it's policy-rich, we're not over-promising, and it's all been costed. I suspect what's it called? Tory Central Office or whatever. Those are the very phrases, are they not, Emma? And Nelson, those are the very phrases that the Tories have used for the last 30 years.
Yep.
Fully costed, pragmatic, not over-promising.
Yeah, and the problem is housing is a long-term thing. You can't just click your fingers and have these houses flying up tomorrow. But I was actually quite impressed, and I don't say this often about Labour shadow ministers, I was quite impressed with his approach and differentiating, talking about the grey belt, talking about many, many areas in this country, because, Jeremy, you're right about NIMBYism. Everybody wants more housing, and nobody wants it anywhere near them. And his point about grey belt and having that conversation, and I hate that phrase, having that conversation, but explaining to people, explaining to all of us that actually green belt, green fields is not this kind of Elysium. It's not all meadows and wildflowers. Lots of areas, disused petrol stations. Of course we should be developing those areas. Of course we should be building on those areas. You can't have it both ways. If you need more housing, you need to build on grey belt.
What I found that it's quite interesting that he said was a slight contradiction. He made a very good point about low quality housing that has been built in recent times. We have the cladding scandal, we've had all sorts of we're seeing it with the estates. If you go into some of the new builds that you go into right now, you can literally hear your neighbour speaking next door. The difference, where he made a slight bit of a contradiction, is where he said they're going to build better housing faster, which suggests to me normally when you want to get something quality, you want to let it simmer, your time a little bit. So better housing faster seems like a little bit of a contradiction to me. How are those two things going to marry up?
Be very interesting. Let's move to the papers if we can.
Yes, Emma, you've got page 8 of the Mirror. A&E's experienced a surge of patients turning up with minor ailments.
And these really are minor. I mean, there's been a surge of people, 77% increase in people turning up at A&E because they cannot get appointments with their family GPs, with their doctors, with primary care. They cannot access primary care, turning up with coughs, sore throats,
But with the risk of all three of you looking at me, I completely agree that the GP waiting lists are ludicrous. But come on, surely people have to take
I know, and look, the important thing is use your local pharmacy.
Yes.
They're really, really good. Pharmacists are brilliant. They are very well trained. They're more experienced often than many, many doctors. Pharmacists have been seen.
Okay.
Pharmacists see sick people in and out of their pharmacy.
In Tesco's.
Plus, they train for about 7 years. To be a qualified pharmacist, you do a lot of medical training. Use your pharmacist, ring 111. Don't turn up at A&E with coughs and sore throats. You know, we know the pressure that the NHS is already under.
But do you not feel sorry for people
Dr. Emma.
Free
advice from me.
Nels, do you not feel sorry for people who feel like they have no other choice? They're
With
worried.
a cough.
No, but they're worried. Well, look, we've just been through 3 years of COVID hell.
With a cough.
With respect, they could worry that they might have flu, COVID, something like that. You can understand it.
It could be people with underlying conditions too, as far as COVID is concerned. That could be.
But these are the report was, guys, with respect, minor ailments.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally
It
get
could be a
it's
symptom
appalling.
of
I know, but
something
come on, Dr. Google.
Nasal
The fact of the matter is,
congestion, earache.
do you want my other?
Google's the worst
Do you
thing
know
in the
my
world.
other bugbear?
Yep.
637,000 appointments last year. People didn't turn up for.
Fine them.
I'd be charging them
Fine them.
£5 and putting them back in the NHS.
I think Dr.
£10.
Google is something that we have to be careful because Dr. Google is probably breeding this sort of
Yes,
very good point.
Keep moving to doctor because Dr. Google always takes you to catastrophe. So everything you have a cough, it's the big C if you're not careful.
It's always
so
the big
you need
C.
to be very, very careful with that. So yeah.
Emma, the front page of the Telegraph, you've got a story about bonfire nights across the country being scrapped due to the cost of fireworks.
Yeah, so Guy Fawkes is being ditched, basically. It costs too much. This is councils including Nottingham, Manchester, Glasgow, Cardiff, Swansea and Norwich, are all cancelling their local displays because they can't afford the spiralling costs of having public events, and the fireworks themselves are very expensive. So it's not going to be, November the 5th will be a bit of a damp squib.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not even going to. Never mind.
But community spirit is important, I think, and
It brings the community together. It brings everybody together.
Terrifies kids and animals.
Sometimes, but I go down to.
Then they'll end up going to A&E because they're traumatised by the car.
You wait until your newborn baby is woken up on November the 4th,
You
5th,
are going to
6th,
hate
7th.
fireworks.
You will hate it.
Yeah,
it is
you will.
very, very annoying. And they go on days beforehand, days afterwards, and they wake up with children.
I love the community spirit, but I also don't understand why we have to do it for so many days during the year, and poor dogs and cats get scared.
You know the community spirit that led you this morning to say, I was trying to get to sleep and they're digging the road outside. You will be leaning out that window going, put your fireworks away, my kids trying to sleep, it's driving me nuts.
Nothing wrong with a silent sparkler.
Stop it, just stop the fireworks.
This is my favourite. I don't understand this in the mirror, Nels. Goalkeepers see things differently to other football players. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting thing. So a gentleman, actually a former football player himself, and also to a former of the son of the ex-Arsenal and Ireland striker Niall Quinn, and of course he's ex-Arsenal. That makes him a great player by standard.
But you're an Arsenal fan.
How can I not?
Seriously, get out of the studio.
But he found out that goalkeepers have a neurological difference to everybody else on the field by virtue of the fact that they sense danger. They have to make really, really quick decisions very, very quickly.
Unless you're called Andre Onana from Man United who just missed the ball. For God's sake. What, extra neurological what?
Well, the term they actually used was actually they are neurologically different, that they have to sense danger a lot more quickly than, say, anybody else on the field. But that makes a degree of sense, because the striker and the midfielders are there to create danger. Also, the defenders to a certain degree are there to almost like assurance, but the goalkeeper is where the buck
This from a lucky Arsenal fan. Emma Wolf, your thoughts on goalkeepers?
Well, no, it's just like taxi drivers. They have a developed area of their brain, the amygdala, and they have a special area because of what they do. They are used to directional stuff. I mean, that's not technical from me, but it makes sense that people that work in a certain field, they hone that skill. You guys hone your broadcasting. Taxi drivers have different brains to the rest of us.
And
so do goalkeepers.
newsreaders who are really talented step in and do weather when their colleagues are sick. Emily Rose Adams.
What was it at the back?
Amygdala.
Amygdala. There we go.
What's an amygdala?
The amygdala. Look it up. It's the part of the brain that deals with, I think it's direction and something, but someone will tell me I'm wrong. It's the taxi drivers and the amygdala.
Fabulous.
You've got a massive amygdala.
Well, we're going to move on from
No,
that
that's her
quickly
baby.
before I make any comments. Thank you so much for joining us, Nels and Emma.